Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, every country or every nation intends to uplift its society, wants to excel in economy, science and technology through knowledge, innovation, creativity and research. But it's only possible when all vital segments of society, including women, youth, labor, working class, all of them taken care of, bring forth and given true opportunities and priority in every sphere of life, including electoral and political process. As you all know that the general elections 2024 are at the doorstep. Now, whether the political party is given true priority and opportunities to these all important and vital segments of society or not. What is the importance of these areas? How they are contribute to country stability, peace, economy, development and resultantly the prosperity. To discuss all these important areas, we have in our studios senior journalist Hassan Khan, most welcome to you. We have also Zishan Abbasi, he is a behavioral change expert. So most welcome to you, sir, as well. Thank you very much for being here in the studios. My first question is related to the same topic, Hassan. You are a senior journalist, you are every day in every walk of life, you are witnessing that there are lots of hiccups and hurdles for women, youth, labor and working class. So how do you see whether the true opportunities given to them and what is the vitality of these all segments for a developed, prosperous and economically stable nation?
Thank you very much, Faisal. I think it's a very crucial subject which you have taken today, and it means that focusing on somehow the marginalized segments of society. They are not marginalized, shall not be marginalized, particularly the women. You know, women almost make 50% of the country's population.
Obviously,
and then we have
obviously.
the youth, and then you talk about the other segments of society like the labor, like the farmers, etc. So I think if you have an inclusive type of, there is no exclusivity, like you include all, so only then you can make a progress. Unfortunately in Pakistan, you know, we were having a tribal structure of society, or what you call it, the more ruralized culture in Pakistan. Lately I think we are witnessing big cities erupting in Pakistan, and now gradually we are looking that the city cultures is now being there in Pakistan. You look at Islamabad.
Yeah, definitely.
When we came to Islamabad, it was totally a city. After I think the sunset, hardly you will see people on the road. So now Islamabad has turned into a different city. Now you can go around to the markets and you can see people late at night. I think even early in the morning.
But Hassan, so it's too freezing really.
It's too freezing, but there are open air fireplaces.
But overall it's
so
okay.
This is what I am saying, that now gradually we are seeing that the urban culture is now taking place. It is replacing the rural culture. But there shall be now a change in the mindset also. Like women are treated, unfortunately, as not as equal, were treated not as equal to the men, and even the youth was considered as hardly there were representation of youth in the parliament, representation of youth in various bodies, representation of youth in the political parties, representation of youth in the decision making process. So once you include them in the decision making process, like look. Now we are, as you mentioned in your earliest in your introductory statement, that now we are heading toward a very crucial, I think, is happening, and that is the election on February. It's hardly, I think, 20 or 21 days away now. So it is the biggest, I think, an event happening in any country. From nook and corner of the country, people will be engaged. Not only the government will be engaged, not only the security agencies will be engaged, not only the political parties, but each and every person. On the morning of 8, every person will be thinking when to go to the polling station, whom to vote, and how to vote. So I think,
and for what to vote,
and for what to vote. So I think now, if you exclude the 50% of your population, and that is women, if you exclude,
definitely we'll discuss in detail
of the population that is youth.
Zishan, you are dealing with the behaviors and the behavioral change expert you are. So Zishan, how do you see, because Pakistan has a year of 60% of the youth population, and that is below 30 years of age. So Bureau of Statistics says that their employment rate of the age group between 15 to 27 is 8.5%. So how do you see that when a very important age group, which is going to give its energy to Pakistan to excel, to be stable, to be peaceful, prosperous, but they are unemployed? How do you see it?
I think let's change our mindset from the basically unemployment, looking up to basically that I need a job like this, so towards entrepreneurship. We need to create entrepreneurial mindset, and we should not just focus on 4 years degree program, but rather we must go for the skills rather than just educating our children. So I think that can be a solution and change the mindset from the victim to a cause. So I'm a victim of the government, I'm a victim of this, victim of that, to cause, which means let me take the responsibility of my life. Let me take the responsibility of my future.
Obviously,
so, yeah.
Obviously. When you were talking about, when we are talking about unemployment or disparities, what is happening. So how do you see that as Pakistan Journal of Medical Sciences, they have the research that at least 39% of the university students are in depression, are in stress and anxiety. What would be the ultimate cause of that?
One of the major causes is basically they cannot see the future very bright, because whatever they are studying, they are not applicable after 4 years. 4 years after, 4 years before right now, in the past, world was different. Now world is different. And in 2027, 28, the world will be different. And whatever they are studying right now will not be applicable. Most of these things will not be applicable after 4 years, and they know it. We must focus on micro degrees, which must be based on skills, so that they start earning right now at their own, rather than looking for the jobs. And of course, there is no job. There is an unemployment issue not only here in Pakistan, but all around the world right now, because world is shifting towards another era. And in that era, the need of the time is change of the mindset, change our behavior, change our habitual patterns, and change our skill set.
Well elaborated. Hassan, if we just look at the political campaigns going on, it seems that that is youth focused. Do you think that it is focused only for their vote because they have a huge ratio, or political parties thinks about that might be they are going to have some sort of development, youth development, or include them into the political process or to the development process for a prosperous Pakistan?
I think, Faisal, if we look at especially in the current scenario, I think the political parties are being pushed to focus on youth. The reason is not that they are focused on the youth development or the future of the youth, or giving skills, as said by the friend, are changing their mindsets from being a clerk or from the proverbial babus to be an entrepreneur and to be a person who earn and who get other people employed. Is not going to be an employee of somebody, but he's getting other to be his employees. So unfortunately, now the focus of youth, it's a very strategic focus. The reason is there is a realization among the political parties that now it is the age of this small box, the social media, and this social media tool is a very deadly tool. It is in the hands of the youth. So you have to engage with you. Unfortunately, nowadays, if you look, there were times when every political party was having a student wing, was having the youth wing, was having other wings, and the
women wing as well.
Yeah, women wings. It's very important. And the leaderships, the core leaderships were drawn from these wings, because it was just like an institutions for the future political leaders or for the future decision makers. But unfortunately, over the period of time, I think this is quite unfortunate. It's not only, maybe not only in Pakistan, the rest of the world, this decision making have been monopolized by very few people. So I think,
and even those segments were victimized politically, used for their own gains, rather than.
But let me say it to be that it is what you call it, a blessing in disguise. That at least there is certain agent which has forced you to focus on me, to focus on women, to focus on youth. What I want from the political parties, I think their manifestos, if you look at the manifestos of political parties, they do not have any proper, what you call it, future planning, either the strategy that how they will engage this 60% of the workforce. It is the powerhouse of, I think, of a state. So that shall be, I think, the focus.
Unfortunately, definitely. Yeah. Hassan Khan, well elaborated, your point well taken. Now we have, fortunately, Amna Malik. She is the women rights activist. She is online with us at telephone line. Most welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Can you elaborate, please, because general elections are at the doorstep and women are half of the Pakistan's population, more than 49%. Do you think that they are included in the developmental phase or in the political process?
I believe that this is a very important question, and as an advocate of women political empowerment, this is something which is very important to discuss. We recently had a roundtable discussion on this subject, and we requested different political parties that they should add in their manifesto that how they are going to give a proper political representation of women in policy design, policy making, and policy implementation. And this election process, this is also very important that women should feel secure to cast their vote to the right candidate. So I believe that the political party should add in their manifesto. But when we invited different political parties, because they were so much busy, so they were not able to participate, but we heard that they are working on sustainable goals as part of the manifesto, and few of the leading political parties added gender rights as well, because this is very important to add.
So, Amna, do you think that their political parties' manifestos are well representative when we are talking about women rights and women inclusion into the economic sphere and the political process overall?
I believe that women gender equality and women empowerment, this is a continuous process. So we keep on advocating many organizations like National Commission of Status of Women. They worked on active participation of women in elections, especially at general seats and at reserve seats. So I'm not saying that we are 100% satisfied, but we are keep on knocking the doors to the political parties, telling the government that this is very important that they give them the adequate share. So the process is going on, but I think as part of the formal part of their manifesto and agenda, I have not seen in detail any kind of specific or any new initiative or anything which really represent 50% of the population of Pakistan, which are women.
So, Election Commission of Pakistan has the clear directives to all parties to at least 5% of the representation at the general seats related to women. So, do you think that every party adhere that those directives and they are implementing?
Actually, we also need to see our culture and environment as well, because during the consultation session, Election Commission of Pakistan was one of the stakeholder with us. So they always make sure, and we raise our voice that this representation should be more than 5%. But unfortunately, most of the women reserve seats are also filled by the relatives of other political parties' key leaders. So first of all, they need to change that mindset that workers should also be given some proper representation. And secondly, although Election Commission has given 5% representation at general seats, but that's also another issue that most of the areas you find difficulties and women try to go for the easier way, but there are many brave women who are contesting on the women's seat. So that require a cultural change, cultural adaptability, that women should come ahead on the general seat. And we also raised our voice that when women are participating, if they got one time a reserve seat, they should be asked to work on their constituency, and next time they should be given a general seat, rather than I saw so many parliamentarians for 3 terms, 4 terms, they are continuously coming on the reserve seat. So Election Commission should take notice on that, and we are also trying to advocate this with the government institutions and with the civil society.
Definitely very important point, your point well taken. Hassan, when we are talking about youth, They are at least 59.10 million youth in Pakistan. Now they are the young voters, and at least 21 million added into these are the new voters. So do you think that they are going to have a real change into the political scenario when there would be particularly on 8th February when they are going to cast vote, if they come out in numbers?
I think this is very important. As you say, it's more than 50% of the vote is in the hands of the youth, and I think during the last the last decade, I will say, youth and women both are mobilized, and there is more participation in the electioneering, in the jalsas and in the processions, etc. And now you see that youth are in now, as earlier I said, the leadership has also realized that you can't ignore these two important segments of society, because 50% are women and 50% are, so the rest are, I think you have a very small portion, not a small portion, significant portion. So I think now you have to, the youth will definitely assert themselves, and you look at the candidate, the ratio of candidate. Now I see more the political parties are giving more importance to the young party workers, and I have observed that almost no doubt, as per the women is concerned, 5% is the demand of the Election Commission of Pakistan. But there I have observed that the certain political parties, most of the political parties, have given general seat to women, where they are sure that they are not in a way winning it, or their position is not that strong. And I think this is, I will call it, not, if you're not using the word hypocrisy, but this is, I think, close to it, that you are giving women the areas where you know the party has not that strong hold there. I think women should be given the areas where the party is sure that it is winning, because the area where the parties are not strong, it means that the women candidate has to work hard, double than the men the men colleagues. So I think that this mindset set shall be changed. Now, number two, I think the political parties, their core leadership, where the decisions are making, like the Central Working Party, Executive Councils, etc. This policy of the Election Commission of Pakistan shall be implemented also there, that every working council, every central executive committee, or central any decision making body of any political party, it shall have at least 33% of women in the decision body.
Yes.
The reason is, where women is there, so definitely they can, at least they can influence the manifesto. They can influence the party, the party decision-making process. So I think certain things, now is the time that the state institutions like the Supreme Court of Pakistan, like the Election Commission of Pakistan, and I will definitely ask people like Amna that they should, I think, struggle hard for it, that force these political parties to include more and more women in the important bodies.
Definitely,
so only then you can say. Yes. Otherwise, I think this political February 8th, we will see it's a big activities, nationwide activities. People will be voted, and people will be some will be elected, some will be not, and certain candidates. So I think, but then will be a business as usual.
Hassan, well elaborated. Thank you very much. And Zishan, when we are talking about national agendas, decision making, implementation process, and overall inclusivity in every sphere of life, do you think that youth is on board?
They are not ready as yet. First, I must add to Hassan's point that we as parents, it's our responsibility to basically for the women empowerment, especially to make their decision-making muscles more flexible and allow them to at least choose for their shopping first, so that they start making decisions at that level. So our youth, is it ready or not? So actually they are not ready. They do not know what is happening. They get too much involved on just victimization, political victimization and other things, which basically fuels their emotions, yet they are not aware of what actually do they want, what do they need. So they must be focused on themselves first, take the responsibility, be at cost, and look into the future and add values basically towards basically while getting involved in more skills, not just the degrees.
Who will give them the spark basically to just add on into the political process and the inclusivity for any segment of society?
I think they must take their own responsibility rather than just whining and basically blaming and complaining. It is now time for the youth to take the responsibility. That's
and they have to think of their self first and then go on, rather than blaming any other segment of society and the government and all that.
I said that's the first step for improvement.
That's great. That's great. Amna is waiting for us. Amna, why we are so reluctant to promote gender inclusive society that ultimately supplement the workforce, the trade, economy, and overall prosperity?
I agree with all the participants, and I think one of the reason is that we as a society are never active and responsive to any kind of change. So they believe that this is against our cultural norms, that if we allow too much liberty to our girls, and they take that if a girl is working somewhere outside and moving outside her house, so we are still having the natural taboos. And then as I myself is a businesswoman, I'm heading group of companies, but still my employees, being a very powerful woman, a social activist, they don't respect me the way they respect a male boss. So the first of all, we need to change the mindset. But I also believe the women who move forward in any part of the society, whether they are business leaders, social leaders, political leaders, the main force is their father, because their father promoted them. So we also have a program that we should have family awareness campaign, so that the parents, what our other colleague also mentioned, that parents should encourage their girls to take their decisions separately. In our rural areas politics, what we have witnessed, that a father decide that where they are going to give the vote, and that vote is not decided that whether that politician is going to contribute something to the society. They decide that, oh, we are having good relations, or we are going to get some benefit out of it. So they force their entire family, not only the family, the entire biradri, to give the vote somewhere which is not either suitable for the nation or something. So we believe that if we really want to raise as a great nation, we need to engage our women, and we have to work on their economic empowerment and financial inclusion in the society.
So Amna, have you gone through the political party manifestos, that whether any political party mention about ending violence, exploitation or discrimination of women?
If you talk about violence against women, then there is a separate ombudsman on women harassment. And also in National Commission of Status of Women, also they are working on violence against women and early child marriages and violence against children.
Yeah, definitely. You are absolutely right. These organizations and entities are there, either the state-owned or the government entity. These are there. These institutions are there. I'm talking about the political party manifestos. Whether you have seen any sort of a will or gone through the manifestos, whether they have addressed that issue?
We have gone through the manifesto, and next week we are also planning to have a consultative session with the representative of all political parties. Our question to them is that, are you going to incorporate women participation, women equality points in your manifesto, and also harassment against women is also one of the points. But I believe that just like the political parties, they are male dominated. The manifesto, if you go through the points, they are male dominated, most of the initiatives. So they just have a general guideline, but not some particular aspect which is very important to add in their manifestos. That's why we are planning to have a consultative session next week, so that we try to build that lobbying and little bit pressure group of the stakeholders that political parties should add women active participation and all those things which ensure women equality, empowerment, and prevent them from any kind of violence, whether this is a political, financial, or any kind of violence against women.
Well elaborated, Amna, well elaborated. Hassan, when we are talking about the political parties, do you think they are successful in addressing the youth issues like unemployment, like education, high-tech skills, even there are lots of problems to seeking jobs and having their businesses or small loans or something like that. Do you think that political parties are addressing these issues?
I think gradually we are observing that there is a realization that there is a need to focus on the youth, because it's a very huge youth population Pakistan has. So it's not only that you are exporting them, because unfortunately we have the easiest way to export our youth or workforce to other countries, to developed countries of the developing world. So I think nowadays, especially during the last 2 years, I have observed, especially even in this caretaker government, that the focus is more on, as my friend Zishan said, that to create or to produce entrepreneurs instead of employees. We need to get to create employers. So for that, I think there is a need of across the board need of changing the mindset. I think that is important. Look, we have to tell each and every person in the society that the decision lies in the hands which is holding the purse. So I think why our women are marginalized, why our women are not included in an important thing. The reason is, unfortunately, if 50% of the women out of 50%, I think 90% will be just they are housewife. And unfortunately in Pakistan, being a housewife is considered to be doing nothing.
Means we are not able to create some sort of enabling environment either for women or for youth or
I think
any sort of class.
That's important. That's important. So unfortunately, during the last few decades, our focus shifted somewhere else instead of focusing on, look, Pakistan has the biggest population, the challenge is population growth. We have a very rapidly growing populations, but you do not have the plan to manage it. And there is an important saying in English that failing to plan is planning to fail. If you don't plan for something, it means that you are already in the process of, you are planning to get fail, I think. So unfortunately what the Pakistan various government, I'm not going to blame one political party, other political party. It is the core, I think, mindset that we never focused on the future planning. Previously, Pakistan was first in introducing the 5-year plans, the 10-year plans, 15-year plan, etc. But unfortunately, gradually see when the governments are just get on changing 2 years or 3 years. So now we forgot the planning for years. We just plan on, I think, from this election to another election.
When you're talking about planning, Zishan, working class and the labor class, these are the skeleton, or backbone of the skeleton, really. And they are the driving force for any country to progress, to develop. So do you think their miseries, their rights, their welfare and their protection is addressed by the political parties overall?
I think, as I said before, they must look into themselves and they must realize they have 24 hours. And they must utilize, rather than watching other movies and stuff like on social media, they must develop themselves in order to add values into their lives and add values into basically social life and in country as well, overall.
So how we can change the overall societal behavior in this, for all segments of society, particularly for women, for youth, for labor, for working class, and all of that?
Wonderful question. Thank you very much for this. We must stop blaming and complaining and take the responsibility of our lives. This is the very much starting point. That it is me, it is not the government. Of course, I'm not very hopeful from the government sides or from the political parties, because they, as you very much rightly said, they come for a few years and that's it. And they focus on just winning elections, not building nations. So it is our responsibility as an individual.
So Hassan,
the major mindsets that this victimhood syndrome, I think it has, it's everywhere, it's across our society. If you look at the provinces, they will blame the centers, They will blame the other provinces for their. It is easier if you look at.
But Hassan, just recently, the World Economic Forum is going on there in Switzerland.
The Prime Minister is
the IMF chief just said that because of the technology, because of the artificial intelligence, 40% of the jobs are going away. So how do you see when our youth, women, and lots of important segment of society, they are jobless, and when more jobs are going away, so how do you see that scenario, whether political parties don't have the responsibility to address this issue?
Look, I think this is not, I think this is just the changing nature of the job.
Okay.
The job was, this is just the, what you call it, that Newton laws. Nothing can be created, nothing can be produced. So I think you just, it can just change the shape of it.
Okay.
So I think the new era where you talk of artificial intelligence, you talk of the technology, etc. So I think we have, we should have planned for this day, I think 10 years before. So today we would not have been facing that problem. The reason is, now I think, look at Pakistan's exports, especially in the service sectors, are on the rise, and I think tremendously. The reason is, now I'm sitting at my home. I don't need an office. I don't need a place to go there. I can just manage all the things from my home.
But Hassan, Hassan, the problem is that 20 million new people are now under the poverty line. They're gone. They are the new people who are the poor now, and these belongs to from all segments really. And when this development paradigm will change, because the government change after every 5 years, so why not sustainability?
I think this is very important. I think the government change, but across the developed worlds, I think the government change, but the policy remain the same. Look at we don't have any population control plan. We are still stuck in that, what you call it, ruralized mindset that you need men. Women are not included in the family counting, so you need men and more men.
Or male-dominated society.
Male-dominated society. I think now this is the time to realize that the first thing to do for Pakistan is control this population. We are still, our growth is still more than 3%. I think this is quite alarming. Nowhere in the world. The world maximum is 2%, 1.9%, 1.5%, etc. But Pakistan's population is growing by plus 2%. So I think the first thing to harness.
So do you not think that this is kind of a stereotyping, that men blaming women, women blaming men, and some young blaming government, and government blaming all others?
I agree with Zishan that now this is the time that everybody take his share of
his or her responsibility.
Share of responsibility.
Definitely.
I'm not responsible for all, but at least I'm responsible to get food for my tummy. At least I am responsible.
Don't go solo. We have to take care of others as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. The first things start from me. If I am taking my responsibility, so definitely I will take your responsibility,
definitely.
Take his responsibility, take
this is inclusivity.
This should be an inclusive approach shall be
adopted. Definitely. Amna, if you just why, when we are talking about why women voters are not encouraged to vote, despite that they are at least 59 point something, so they are very vital segment. They are the decision makers. So why women are not encouraged to vote?
As I mentioned earlier, first of all, we need to adapt to the new changing requirements in which women should be given active participation, and why they are not participating that way. First, we need to change our mindset. For changing the mindset, the civil society can play a good role side by side with the government institutions, so that their mindset should be changed, that women should be given independent right to decide where they should vote. The second reason is that they should be economically independent, as they are dependent on their father, brother, husband, son. So once they are economically independent, they can contribute in a better way in a society, and they can take the decision in a better way. So this is a collective effort, not the effort of one individual or one corporate, it is a collective effort of the society.
So in 2018 elections, we have seen that lots of constituencies got less than 10% of the women votes, and there were repolling at that time into those constituencies once again. So do you think that this is going to be the scenario in next elections as well, or women will go to the polling stations, cast their votes, and have their opinion there?
Yes, I believe that this time I'm quite disappointed that because the overall depression in the society and the overall, mistrust about the government institution, political parties, and different organizations, I think this time overall it will be difficult to get a better result of appearing for as a voters. So regarding the women side by side. Let's hope that this time they are not deciding on the basis of Baradri system and other system. They should see that whoever is good for the Pakistan, they should decide it. And I think media like PTV and other channels can play a very important role because that's a very good way of sending messages to them to decide yourself and participate in the election because that election will finalize the destiny of Pakistan and the destiny of themselves as well.
Thank you very much, Amna, for being with us online. Thank you very much for precious time and well elaborated. Hassan, one last question. That is the flood 2022, that most of the youth, most of the women, most of the workers, the laborers, those were all affected because 1/3 of the country was underwater. So how do you see the welfare of those, how they are included into the political process, the electoral process, and how their well-being would be after the next elections and even on that day of polling?
I think that, look, ignoring these two segments of society, the women and the youth, I think this is just planning to, I think, for a very bad future because Pakistan can't anymore, I think, tolerate the policies which we were pursuing since the past several decades.
Thank you very much, Hassan. We have run short of time. Thank you very much for your presence in studios. Thank you very much, Zishan, for being with us here in studios. Viewers, as you have listened to our panelists, it is very important that all segments of society must have to come out of this blame gaming syndrome, and they have to just realize their responsibilities. They have to come up for their self first and for inclusivity as well. And then it's the responsibility of the family leaders like father of any family that they have to give choices to their children and to the woman in their family as well to decide where to go because this is important for the prosperity of Pakistan. And also the political leaders, they have to not only include women, youth, laborers, working class in their manifestos, but also they have to encourage them all to not only vote but also to decide on their own to have an inclusivity within the country, so that Pakistan must have to be a stable, peaceful, progressive and developed country, and this is the desire of us all. This is today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.